Okay, so what if the way to access to unlock the birthright, our natural state of being, is to give, you got to give everything up. You have to detach. There's no other way. I just don't see it. And by detachment, I would mean you would have to detach from emotional dysregulation. And even emotions, I would think, just like, because you would be fully confident, you would know. You would know. So you wouldn't worry about validation. There wouldn't be any kind of doubt. So therefore, no fear, no worry. And you're the creator, so there's no lack. And you understand that you're everything. You're all-encompassing. You're autonomous. So there's no need for anything outside of you. And then you just come from a place where, okay, well, there's things outside of me, and so you're changing your mind's perspective on how you view what's outside of you. Okay. And then what happens? You change that perspective. And there would be no thinking, it would just be being. A whole bunch of beings, but living it so what if we come here? Wow, so strange. Oh my goodness. Because the it's all about the mind's perspective. It's a mind slave box. It's all about the perspective, because It's all about the perspective till there is no more perspective, till you see as a whole, till you are able to see all through with, till you're able to view through all the fragments at the same time and get a full picture. Because a perspective is just viewing from one angle or from one side or however you want to put it. It's not the full picture. And the only reason we have perspectives is because we're divided. So this works as on the group level, which it would explain why I don't think I wouldn't think that we would all go back to strange. There can be no individuality, ultimately. But it's pure. Whereas this, somebody's always getting fucked. Constantly. So, barring the long term, and regardless of what the end result of this whole thing is, what is the best thing to do now? That's the only question. What is the most worthwhile, beneficial thing to you to do right now? And the issue is that we've been stuck. We were put in these boxes as children. And just, we've been cataloged. So what we're doing in healing, we're working our way out of the boxes. That's what we're doing. We're working our way out of these boxes. Because the only box that each one of us should have should be human and soul being. Well, a human is a soul being, so it would be human. We'd be in one box, right? And regardless if that gets broken down, it doesn't matter. It's all human. Period. It's that simple. But they've divided things so many times into so many things, and then they made it seem, they've done it to us for generations, so it just seems natural. So that's why on the way out of this mess we find ourselves in, we have to recatalog ourselves. Because I'm sure there is instantaneous, and I think there will be. I just think that there's going to be healers. And I think the people going through this right now are the ones who... I think the ones going through this right now are the ones who are going to bring the instant... that are going to open the channels for the instantaneous healing for the rest of humanity. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. And that's why it's so important what we're doing. It's very weird. I mean, why would we find ourselves in this situation? And if we were to not answer the calling, right? Let's say I didn't answer the calling and I just fucking dug in and did, you know, when I was 3 years ago, instead of healing, I just dug in and just drank myself to death, which would have been very easy to do at that point. How would have that, what would have happened? What would be different? Everything. Everything would be different. It was like I died that day. Because I made a different decision. Yeah. Yeah. It was like I died that day, Mom. Yeah. Interesting. Because ever since then I've been recataloging myself. Ever since then I've been knowingly, I vocalized that the only reason I was here was to figure this thing out. That was the only reason why. To make amends to my children and to myself. And ultimately now that I've been, 3 years later, and I'm looking, I have that hindsight now. It's all, it's all about our own self. Because the further you get into this healing, this true healing, you realize that you can't ultimately save anybody except for yourself first. You can't do it. No amount of sacrifice, no amount of martyrdom will get you there. And I wonder if there's been ages where that was incorporated into the consciousness. It's so strange. Because so you're changing the whole journey is about changing your perspective. Going from a victim to the victor, right? Reclaiming your desire to live, reclaiming the why, the who, the only how we should be worried about or even thinking about or contemplating at the moment is the how do we act in the proper manner at this particular moment to continue our healing. Because it's so easy to stagnate. It's so easy to stop. It's so easy to start patting yourself on the back after you make a breakthrough. Because we're so damaged. We're so fucked up. We're so lost. We're so ass backwards. We're so ass backwards. We can be 150 pounds overweight and lose 5 pounds and celebrate and eat a 12-pack of donuts. I mean, it's really amazing, like the stupidity. We have been bred into a world of stupidity. And absolute foolishness. Nobody acts proper. I mean, you're talking about the majority, 99.9999999% of humanity is literally brought from the cosmos, torn between a woman's legs, and then taught every single way that's non-conducive to being as an eternal soul occupying the most advanced biological thing on this earth. And I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. Is that people never got a chance to experience humanity. We were fed a program, so they put us on a program where they said, oh, you want to know humanity? Here, this is what humanity looks like, you know? And they go, oh, this is, you know, neighbor helping neighbor, and you help the old lady across the street. But in the meantime, they're not addressing, again, you know, with everything, they're addressing symptoms. Nobody is addressing the root cause. And the root cause isn't to make what this is a better place. That's foolish. This whole thing is meant to be, it's all built on slavery. It's all built on lack and fear and the necessity for things outside of you. We're autonomous. We're fully autonomous. We're made of trillions of autonomous cells that are fully functioning with every capability to connect psychically, on spiritual level, on the physical plane, on every level, biologically. I mean, the implications of that foundational truth should pull everybody out of depression, or make everybody put a gun to their head, because it's overwhelming when you meditate on that and see how far we have to go. So again, I don't, there's no way that humanity as a whole is going to each one individually let go. There's going to have to, so there's going to be a turning point. And what I'm seeing is that what I'm feeling and seeing and intuiting is that those of us who know what we're supposed to be doing, we had better quit playing around and do what we're supposed to be doing. And how do you do that? It's very simple. You align your thoughts, words, and actions. You can hold knowledge in your head for decades, and it is yes, it's nice because it all builds on itself. But if you, there are people that go into the earth after 80 years of holding vast amounts of knowledge that never do anything with it. You're better off taking one thing and focusing intently on it, because as above so below, in the micro as the macro, inside of the cell is the whole. It's a holistic. So if you can calm the mind, the fear mind, the lack mind, the mind that constantly has to be dopamined up or tranquilized in order to be able to even function in this poisonous society on every level. Our whole culture is poisonous. If you had a, in a lab, they have the petri dishes, the little petri dishes. They're like, usually about 4 inches in diameter. They're small. And they create the culture that they're going to put the bacteria or whatever else they're going to put into that culture. And they study the organism or whatever they put into that culture to see what happens. And the cell itself is not affected. It doesn't die. They can put a cell in the proper culture for the cell, and the cell lives forever. The only reason a cell breaks down is because of poison being introduced to it. And see, a cell has its defenses, but we're made of trillions of them. And we have all kinds of unbelievable defenses that if you, oh my goodness, it's unreal. The system we have, systems that all work in tangent together, that are in place working 24/7 for us. But the mind condemns the system based upon the experiences that are levied on it from the poisonous culture. So the mind is never accepting or recognizing or even allowed to delve into the avenue of what it is to be a whole human, a whole being, a whole encompassing eternal soul occupying an autonomous avatar, biological avatar, made of trillions of, we're talking about no limitations here. And it can't be corrupted. And that's the thing, because that's part of the package. The wholeness is non-corruptible. What we're experiencing is a corruption of the mind, which therefore led to the corruption of the body. And the soul is non-corruptible. Guys, don't let them fool you. The soul is non-corrupt. They cannot corrupt the soul. What happens is they corrupt the mind, and they create splits. And then you can get, yes, they can occupy you. They can, there's all kinds of things going on when that happens. But the soul is always there. You are the strongest, most powerful thing in existence. You've just been bamboozled. I hope that shakes some of you awake. I wasn't planning on doing this. I was going to gather my thoughts. I was thinking deeper into the
how in the what's next, for ultimately, but it leads me back again to the present moment, because I'm still cleaning, I'm still remembering. I'm still not sure how to put that. I'm still transitioning, which means I'm standing here now. It's early in the morning, 5 a.m., and I've prepped all my fruit and veggies for my juice. So the way I see it, food is medicine. There's no way that this body needs food. The only reason it needs it is because our cells are completely broken down and depleted, and we're aging. By the time we're 3 years old, we're already dying. It's horrendous. What the state of humanity is absolutely horrendous. And the fact that we're giving birth and we're saying we love our children, and it's terrible. And so the lies have to stop. This whole thing starts with truth. The patting each other on the back and in supporting and propagating and perpetuating these toxic cultures, has to stop. And how does it stop? It stops not by, all of a sudden having an epiphany and telling your kids, okay, no more TV, we're throwing out this, we're getting rid of all that, we're only eating fruit, we're all getting healthy, we're all going to repair, right? You can't do that, because I really wanted to move. I wanted to get away, and it seems like we always want to run when something needs to change. It's like we think that a change of scenery is going to help. And yes, that's true. It will. Of course it will. Your environment, that's part of your environment, your culture. So, of course, if you're in a bad place, if you can and are able, to get to a somewhat better culture, a less poisonous culture, yes. But ultimately, it's on you. I'm sitting here and I see that my whole environment is still the same 3 years later, but I'm a new man. I've killed 1,000 false Richards in the past 3 years. In order to get to mind, body, and spirit. And it brings peace, and it brings clarity, and it brings ease, and it focus, and purpose, and understanding, and knowing. And so it seems that there are those of us who are extremely highly sensitive, which again, I am empathic, intuitive. My clairs are going off the charts. The changes I'm experiencing day to day are, again, it's getting the full perspective. And as you gain that perspective, you're only able to gain that as you detach and let go. And you look inwards. Again, I had to get I had to get my story out. For me, and I think I had to do that for multiple different reasons. But I am past that. That was a step in my journey. I completely 100% understand what this system that we are all born into is doing to us and making us do to each other. Not making it, of course, it's not breaking our arm, but it's basically your livelihood, right? So I understand how scared, and it absolutely just scared to death people are. That causes them to put themselves above others. Again, talking about my relationship with my mother. You know, it's weird because you can say, I would never do that, right? And I didn't. I had 3 children, and I never locked them in caged them in the house and made them my slave and abused them and physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially. I didn't do that to them. I didn't, but I still put all they still suffer. I can sit here and look and see all the suffering my children go through because of me. So does that make me any better than my mom? Because I found a different way to cope that didn't involve actually abusing them? That was, but I abused them in a way that was acceptable by the culture? By the mass of society, 99.999999999% of humanity living by this ethos of survival of the fittest, or in competition, or in lack, or in fear. Guys, I'm trying to tell you, all of this is part of this game, this matrix, this overlay on what is. They have us living in a system because they enslave our mind from birth. And it's up to us to break free from it. And you can do it because nothing can touch you. I was up against the world. I had everything. What was I? I had demons. I had billionaires. I had Satanists. I had everybody coming after me, right? Government, everything. But I'm still here. And even if I wasn't, that would be where I'm supposed to be. You can't be afraid to die. You got to be afraid to live like a slave and live in bondage. You're living in bondage. You're living in bondage to these energy vampires, and they're treating you as literally as a battery for the system, for their corrupted system. It's a parasitical system, guys. Look, we aren't parasites. We are creators. We are original beings. We need nothing to survive. We don't need to eat animal food. We don't need to eat. We don't need to grow gardens. We don't need homes. We don't need electricity. We don't need to have jobs. We don't need cash. We don't need cars. We don't need any of this. This is all a game. We are playing one big giant earth monopoly game, where these countries are it's so ridiculous. It's gotten so ridiculous. I haven't even paid attention to it in years, but I can only imagine how far in debt. It's like $40 trillion. I mean, it might as well be $5 zillion. I think might as well put the national debt at $5 zillion. You know, but then they come down on the common man for not paying his parking ticket, and then they'll suspend your license. This is, guys, we are living in idiocracy. And the only reason they get away with it is because we allow it. We play the game. We continue to degrade ourselves and deny our essence. At birth, they told us we were specks, and our ancestors came from monkeys, and we lived one life, and we're stardust, and as soon as we die, well, that's it, we're off, and to live as a star for bazillions of years. I mean, they told us that we came from fucking, crawled out of the damn muck and mire, and were tadpoles, and they tell us everything, and then they tell us that we need all of their shit. We need their washers, their dryers, that we need to pay for their dirty electricity. We need to wear all their dirty polyester clothing and eat and drink all their poisonous, toxic, chemical food. Poison. And then when we feel sick at 5 years old and we got every poison, every freaking disease under the book, they want to give us drugs for the symptoms. And nobody talks about the root cause. We are a humanity that deals with symptoms. That's why everybody's running around confused, thinking that everybody's got their own opinion, and everybody's just so special, snowflakes. And we can't ever figure anything out. Nobody can know anything because there's zillions of different viewpoints. And no, that's the matrix system, guys. That's in that system you can never be enough. You just have to accept yourself. No, that's the game. You don't need any of this, guys. They've got us cussing and cursing our bodies. They've got us cussing and cursing our existence. This opportunity. Guys, we are eternal, all-knowing, all-powerful souls, light beings. Occupying, that's our consciousness. Guys, we are conscious in that consciousness. If we become conscious. Otherwise, we have ignited a body that the Matrix has now taken over in occupying through its own energy fields by thought alone, by occupying your mind. And we sell ourselves out because we fear everything. We're fearful to be cold in the wintertime. We're fearful to be hot in the summertime. We're fearful to be hungry in between lunch and dinner. And we're fearful to be freaking full and fat right after we eat dinner. We are living in insanely. This is complete insanity. There's every group in the world right now trying to sell their version of heaven, of how to get out of this, of how to make this world a better place. You're not going to make this a better place. This has to go. It has to be it's going to be a new system, guys. There's not going to be any of this crap. You're not going to have the Chinese over there, working 18 hours a day and walking 100 yards to their cot and sleeping in concrete buildings, thousands of them to a building, so that way you have Nike sneakers and the newest electronics assembled. Guys, this new world is not going to have Africans, 6-year-old Africans crawling through these mines, dying daily for pennies just to be able to freaking, I don't even know why they do it. I mean, this is the whole This whole system is got everybody out of their freaking minds. So what I'm seeing is I'm seeing an awakening of people with abilities. And we all have these abilities, but those of us who were born extremely sensitive and were incapable or have had trouble in our lives turning it off, our sensitivities, because we're so connected to source, to our essence, to our true selves, to our authenticity. And I see that those people are waking up, and we are all coming to the same realization that this whole system, the whole thing with governments and countries and individuality, all these, all of this crap, states and flags, and it's going to go, guys. You can't put new wine into old wineskins. This has to go. And what you're seeing right now is a split in humanity, because everybody, the energies, all the frequencies are being completely tossed. And people are having to face things because things are coming to light that have been in the dark. And people are choosing to either double down, and get more dopamine hits, double down, go to the doctor, get on more drugs, double down, vote harder for more presidents, for more people to authorize them to do things and for their safety, right? Or they're choosing to face their shit. They're choosing to take responsibility. Regardless if they chose to be born in this world or not, regardless if they chose to be born to shitty parents, whether they chose to be born into whatever world they were born into, it doesn't matter. If we're adults now, we are consenting, and we are poisoning ourselves in every orifice of our bodies daily through the intake of toxins in every manner possible. And that is suicide. And the only creature on this earth, biological creature on this earth, that commits suicide are creatures that are infested with parasites. Are you following what I'm saying? We were parasitically imbued probably before birth. Who knows? For generations. Guys, we are being fed upon. And this system is using these biological parasites that strengthen the psychological hold it has over our minds through these. It's a frequency-based system. So you cannot reclaim your essence or your authenticity if you are continuing to negate or poison this biological avatar that you are responsible for. Whether you chose to be in it or not, you're in it. And now if you're 20, if you're 15 years old, if you're 20 years old, if you're 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, it doesn't matter. If you are choosing daily to consume trash, to consume flesh of other beings, think of that. Think of how they got all of us to consent to feed on each other and become parasitical like them. Fully autonomous beings that they have tricked through mind control, through the parasites that are living in us that feed on the flesh, have got us thinking that we need flesh to survive for our nutrition. They have us consenting to our own enslavement and destruction. We are eternal. We could probably live in these avatars would probably live forever. We could probably switch in and out of them. We could probably come down here and have our own experience in whatever avatar we wanted. And by experience, I don't mean, ooh, I'm going to go party. Oh, I'm hitting all the bars in London this year. No, that's not what I'm talking about, guys. Again, this is a whole different way of living. The way we're living is like pigs. We are like the pigs living in our own shit. We feed on anything. We don't care anything. We'll put any drug, any chemical, anything in our face. Give it to us. We'll feed on flesh. We'll eat the flesh of anything. You put seasoning on it, it makes us fucking go, and we fucking will eat it. We don't care. Why? Guys, this isn't normal. This isn't our natural state. Again, the only species in existence that will kill itself, that will do things to harm itself. An animal will do nothing to harm itself in any way unless it is overtaken by parasites. A human is not our natural state. Okay, so they tell us, think about this. All they do is they create cognitive dissonance with everything. Because on the one hand, they tell you that we all came from monkeys, or we all came from tadpoles, and somehow we managed to get this far, and humanity survived, right? But yet then they tell you that we can't figure this out. They are playing with your mind. They are keeping you stuck in cognitive dissonance, and it's such a sleight of hand. They are magicians with it. You see, you guys are the true magicians. We're the true magicians. We can create anything. But what they've done is they have parasitically attach themselves to us and are using these biological parasites that are controlling us, our nervous system. These parasites, when they're inside us, they control our nervous system. They control our emotions. They place themselves in between our brain and our body. So what they do is they know what receptors to set off in order to get us to behave in the ways that we will reward them. Not us, them. I mean, they'll get you to do anything. There's parasites that'll get you to have illicit sex. There's parasites that'll get you to jump off a bridge. There's parasites that'll get you to consume laundry detergent. There's parasites that'll get you to consume anything. Human or animal flesh. So, we got to recognize, we got to get back to the foundation. That's what I'm seeing is, because I'm just like, man, how can people not get this? Because people don't want to. They already know. Again, so this all comes back to knowing. People already know. They've known. We all know, because we're all soul-occupied beings. We all know, but we're so departed from our souls. We've so decayed this human body and allowed the complete enslavement of our minds to any fear, doubt, worry. We don't care. Somebody can prove to us that, oh, hey, wait a minute, the cell lasts forever. We don't care. We can prove to somebody, oh, well, look, all these people that can do this cold weather training, and they go out in their underwear and they climb the Himalayan mountain. They don't care. They're like, oh, I can't do it. Yes, you can. We can all do these things. That's the thing. We can all do them. The body is capable. It's the mind that stops us. And why? Okay, so why is our mind? Because we're born into toxic cultures, toxic systems. We're born into a system that enslaves us, a system that is poisoning us from day one, before day one, poisoning the mother's environment. So you have to clean up this avatar. If you want to figure this out in this lifetime, you have to be responsible. You have to take responsibility. It doesn't matter what happened to you before. You have to take responsibility now. Yes, I had a terrible, but look what I did to my kids. Yes, this happened to me. Yes, I had a bad start. Yes, yes, I grew up poor. But look at all this. Look at what I've been doing since. It's just been destruction, self-destruction. And again, it wasn't until I started cleaning up this avatar. I had all the knowledge. I had thousands of books of knowledge in my head. I had thousands of hours of documentaries in my head. I had all this knowledge in my head. In 3 years, I've been on this healing journey. 3 years. I don't think I've made it through one full book. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe. But I'm putting things into practice. I'm over a year on just about nothing but juice. My body is so cleaned out. I'm so clean, so in touch and tune. I'm growing younger. I'm reclaiming. You can reclaim. That's how unbelievably powerful these avatars are, these biological systems we're in. They can self-heal. I'm the only person I know personally that has healed themselves. And it's not because nobody else can, it's because nobody else thinks that they can. And where I'm at now, I'm seeing, I think that there absolutely is instant healing, instant manifestation of miraculous healing. But for us healers, for those of us going through this right now, and there's many of us out there, we have to go through this. We have to experience this for some reason. I guess it gives it more power. Making it real, it solidifies the truth of what is. But I think that we as healers are going to be able to assist others with that instant healing. But those are my thoughts. Again, it's all coming back to personal responsibility, true honesty, not opinions, but true honesty, individual honesty, individual healing, understanding we can't save anybody else. Take care of yourselves, guys. Nobody else will.